Welcome to the Inc. Productivity Tip of the Day. Today's tip: 3 ways to capture your audience's attention with your brand story. It's hard to overstate the impact of a good story. As humans, we're hardwired to find connections with each other. When we hear stories, we subconsciously look for similarities between us and the storyteller. And each time we spot those similarities, we instinctively form an emotional bond. Once in place, the bond becomes a pipeline to foster trust and loyalty. As a business leader, you can leverage this phenomenon for the benefit of your company by promoting your brand story. Every brand has a unique one after all. Putting your brand's story at the heart of everything you do can differentiate your products or services. That's essential in today's noisy, competitive marketplaces. I'll give you a great example of a business that's succeeding in a crowded space thanks to the power of branded storytelling. It's Dot's Pretzels. Every time I grab a bag, I read the story of Dot and her business on the packaging. She's not some flashy entrepreneur. She's a woman who created an amazing pretzel recipe that she loved and was sure others would too. Spoiler alert, the pretzels live up to the brand story and are amazing. While I don't always eat Dot's Pretzels, I'm aware of the difference when I'm not buying that brand. Other pretzel companies have boring, plain packaging and advertising. They may satisfy me in a pinch, but I don't feel the same connection with them. They're just a snack. Dot's Pretzels are family. Speaking of family, Gabb Wireless is yet another company killing it with its brand story. Full disclosure, I've invested in Gabb Wireless, which sells secure cell phones designed for kids. However, I didn't invest just because I thought the business would succeed. It was because of the founder's story. He launched Gabb Wireless because he wanted safe technology for his children and couldn't find anything that fit his needs. If his brand story hadn't been front and center, I'm not sure I would have felt enough connection or inspiration to back his startup. How, then, can you build stronger customer affinity with the help of your brand story? Try these ideas for starters. Consistency is a key element of any corporate brand story. If different people are telling different stories throughout your company, you're not going to get a lift from your story. In fact, you're apt to end up confusing people. The way to resolve this issue is to work with your marketing team or agency to develop your authentic brand story. Once it's been laid out, you can disseminate it across your teams so everyone is saying the same thing. You may even want your brand story to always include special slogans or taglines. A huge benefit to putting your brand story in writing is that it allows you to refocus on the why behind your company. As consumer goods research shows, 82% of buyers want to spend their money on brands that are aligned with their own purpose and values. Nothing shows your company's North Star more than a genuine, heartfelt brand story. With your brand story outlined and firmly in place, you can begin to weave it throughout your outreach efforts. For instance, you might want to incorporate it into your selling tools, such as case studies, white papers, and email marketing campaigns. Don't forget to add your brand story to paid advertisements too. The wording and keywords you choose can help drive home your brand story. You may even want to look for ways to improve your contextual ad targeting. Nativo, a native advertising platform that I've used in the past, is an example of how content can provide more of a fully integrated experience, which can improve response rates among target audiences. Taking this step can ensure that you're meeting consumers when they're most open to hearing your brand's one-of-a-kind story. As a side note, be sure to consider refreshing some of your existing marketing content and related pieces. Updating your assets with a brand story infusion can give them extra credibility and depth, building genuine connections between your brand and consumers. Your employees are a direct conduit from your company to the outside world. Teach them to infuse your brand story into discussions with prospects, customers, vendors, and other stakeholders. This will become yet another way to get the word out about what makes your business unlike any other. You can take this a step further by asking employees what your brand story means to them. For example, you could videotape some of your team members outlining their experience with your company. During the question and answer session, encourage them to talk about the links between their stories and their employer's story. You'll no doubt get some real great hits. and maybe some insights into future ways to engage workers as well. After building a library of these videos, feel free to use them to attract top candidates via your careers page or to educate recent hires during onboarding. Not only will you fuel the organic sharing of your brand story, you could boost employee loyalty and engagement rates too. Your business's brand story is one of your most relevant, distinct assets. Now is the perfect time for you to lean into it to build stronger connections between your company and your target audiences. With a solid brand story, you'll never be one of a million. You'll be one in a million. That's it from Inc. Check back weekday mornings at 6 a.m. Eastern for more tips.